night, I was laying in bed last night thinking about my practices on Twitter. Earlier in my vlog, you may have heard me say that I'm frustrated that I don't have a product, and as I'm starting to build relationships on Twitter, I was listening to Gary Vaynerchuk's Crushing It and his strategies on building relationships on Twitter, and I realized I was missing a key part of that relationship, which was the direct message. Instead of promoting my other streams of content on the Twitter feed, which is a very, very, as Don Wettrick likes to say, a very, very spray and pray kind of approach, where you just kind of put it out there and you just pray that somebody sees it, and then whoever sees it, you hope that they like it. And plus, that really comes across as spam. So what I started doing was I started going through my direct messages, people I've already connected with, and I just sent them a direct link to my YouTube channel. So I think I did that with 8 or 9 people, maybe not quite that many, and I already got 2 responses back that said they'll check it out. One of them already subscribed to that YouTube channel. So that's definitely going to be a way that I engage. I think what it helps me understand is that when you launch a new product, you do have to announce it, but you shouldn't be announcing it to just random people. You should be announcing it to the people who have shown interest in your perspective and interest in you, because they're the most likely ones to just be like, you know what, I'm gonna try this. So whether it's a line of t-shirts, whether it's a consulting company, whether it's a new widget that you're going to manufacture, I feel like you have to have those first few customers who already know the level of work that you provide to some degree, and that they can buy it. And then those people will become your first champions, or they'll give you feedback, and you'll be able to learn about your audience. The school that we want to start can't serve everybody. At most, it's probably going to serve 250 kids. And I need to look up the actual numbers, but there's a lot more than 250 kids, even in just one county, even in the smallest counties. So if this YouTube channel does anything for people, I want you to watch it and say, you know what? That's important. I want to start a school like that and start putting together the team. And if I can do it well, that's what this whole channel is for, is you'll be able to hopefully follow the steps, learn from my mistakes, and just do it. Should be fun. Well, maybe not fun. You'll learn a lot, so that will be fun, but it'll be hard, I imagine. Gosh, it's bright out here. All right. Packing up actually unpacking the nursery for the children's place here. And so I was telling one of our congregation members that I'm really struggling. We got artwork here. Really struggling with what we call kids worship. And it relates to this whole school initiative because what I really want to do is, the thing that is most important to me in both my relationship with my kids and the relationship with the kids at church, is that I believe in ownership. I believe in consent. I believe that these kids, they have to own their faith. They have to be allowed to own it. And one of the reasons I believe in that is because I didn't own that. I can remember Sunday school, I don't remember any of the lessons I learned in Sunday school. I only remember 2 teachers. In all of my years of Sunday school, I could actually name 2 teachers, and I can't even remember, I can remember their names. I can't remember anything we talked about. Now, I know I learned stories about scripture,
But what I remember the most, I think, is just the attitude of, like, you can't goof around. That's what I remember most about interactions with adults growing up, is like, okay, we all laugh, we all goof around a little bit, and then all of a sudden, you can't goof around anymore. And it's just like the kids never knew. How am I supposed to know, like, what is allowed and what isn't allowed? Because it seemed like it changed so often. You know, one minute your mom's laughing with you because you did something silly, and the next minute she's like, stop that, that's enough. It's like, what kind of message are you sending a kid when you just kind of not fly off the handle, but it's just, you know, you get biting like that. It's just, it doesn't seem very inviting. I know I'm moving the camera a lot. What I'm doing is unpacking, sort of. So that's what I'm thinking. And you know, I came in here because there was just one volunteer, and a bunch of the kids who normally would be in what we call kids worship, they stayed in with the nursery, and there were no problems. I mean, I stayed in here the whole time. After I was done with the music part, I stayed in here the whole time, and there was one kid that cried, and it's because the kids were playing a game, and she thought that the person who was, I think they were playing like zookeeper, she thought that the other girl was cheating. And then they argued about that. Didn't like the fact that she was being called a cheater and all that stuff. And so one of the girls was crying. That's pretty normal. She got over it. They started a new game. And it's like, all I kept seeing in all these interactions was all these kids are self-directed. They're starting their own games. They're doing their own thing. They're not excluding anyone, but they're not making everyone participate either. I think that's one of the issues that I have with compulsory schooling, is like everyone has to participate. And maybe not at the risk of punishments or something like that, but like kids are kind of shamed. Like, oh, you don't want to play with us? Oh, we want to play with you. It's like, what do you care? One of the girls sat at the small table and just colored the entire time. She didn't want to play. That's fine. She's a little shy. That's all right. Like, it's okay to be shy. I don't understand why we try to fit kids into all these different boxes. And, you know, she's shy. She doesn't feel comfortable with herself all the time. So that's some things I'm thinking about. That's enough. Got a prediction here. I was thinking more about what I was saying about what was happening in our church, and just think that the more I get open about my approach and how I want to do things, I think I'm going to get some real pushback. And because my kids are young, and because my family doesn't go to church with me most of the time, I think they're going to look at me with skepticism, and I think I'm going to get pushed out of that position. And I think that's okay. One of my favorite things about the gospel is that God gives us a choice, and that's all I'm trying to extend to my own kids. Is I want them to see that God's word, the scriptures, the church community, I want them to see that those things are important to me. But I feel like most of the people who I watched growing up, and even right now, who are forced into those beliefs, they buck against it. And even the ones who pay lip service to it, they're like, yeah, I believe this, I believe that. They're fools. They don't live it out. And I don't expect teenage Christians to be perfect. I expect them to be like teenagers. But it just seems like they are still struggling
and they're pushing back harder because they are pushed. Now maybe I'm wrong, and that that my kids are going to end up pushing back as well. I really don't know. But I have seen some evidence at their young ages that they're interested in it. They ask about God. They ask about death. They ask about Jesus. I mean, we read some of those stories together. We don't make them read them. They want to read them with us. And so I guess I'm willing to be wrong. I just don't think I am. An important moment in fatherhood, I think, is when we start to mow the grass and there's toys out. So my goal is to maintain a healthy relationship with, and my hat is all messed up. This is my mowing hat. IVC, no longer a company, sold. Anyway, so want to maintain that healthy relationship with my kids, and I can remember my dad just getting so irate about, toys being left out, and I don't want to paint him to be as someone who was impatient and mean, as he was a loving dad. I just think, it became sometimes it became more important that the yard be clean than that relationship maintain. I think he felt like it meant that he was doing something wrong if we were leaving stuff out in the yard. And I just don't know where I stand on that yet. I think there do need to be some rules, but I think we're learning how to set those. Not really sure what that really looks like yet. So Anna and Noah are 4 and 2, and right now we don't. I mentioned this in an early video. We just don't have a routine for picking up toys inside. No problem. I mean, we pick up toys before bedtime. We help them with that task. And so outdoors is just a little different, obviously. I'm not going to take this opportunity to share Kristen's story, although I think she does. Kristen is my wife, by the way. I think she does feel the same way that I do. Ownership is the word that keeps coming to mind over and over lately, and as whether it's responsibilities, whether it's grades in school, whether it's our faith, I just want our kids to own it. I went through so much of school not owning that experience and not caring about that experience, and I think that was a detriment to me. I think I should have. I think there's a lot of things that I missed in school that would have made parts of my life easier. So I may not be one of those unschoolers or alt schoolers who think that school is useless. What I do think is that the way that it's done does not invite the kids that are falling through the cracks like I was. And everything that I do is focused on giving my kids the freedom to own their own solutions. I want them to never feel like, I don't want them to feel like they're doing it for me. I want them to do it because they see value in it.